Welcome to Mundane Mysteries of a Muslim podcast. Drops every fortnight, the most mundane topic hitting your Muslim neighbours.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Mysteries. I got the name wrong. What's the name of this podcast?
It's called Mundane Mysteries of a Muslim.
Okay, you got me there. So we trialed it out yesterday, our first episode, the premiere, which kind of completely flopped. So I think
It's not, I don't think, I wouldn't call it our first episode. I'd call it a preliminary test,
pilot.
a pilot.
Yeah, so episode 0, which we did not decide to broadcast because I think it was perhaps a bit contentious. So I think we'll just leave that to one side and we'll call this our first episode. What do you think?
I think it's perfect. Let's go ahead.
Right. So the format of this podcast is we're going to talk about the most mundane issues facing people on a daily basis. Especially as Muslims, we face certain other issues that maybe the average Joe doesn't face. So the first topic, Miss Nishat, is what do you think of the latest song that's gone viral on Instagram called Lovebomber?
Do you know what? So this song, The Lovebomber, I feel as though it is the new Rebecca Black, the new Friday.
How can you compare Rebecca Black and Lovebomber? By the way, I don't even know the name of this lady. Or I think she's a Pakistani lady. Or
I thought she was Indian.
Is she Indian? I don't know, but I know she's an Asian lady, let's call her. But yeah, I gotta admit, after watching her clips on Instagram, I did go to YouTube and I found out she released this song 2 months ago, and I've been listening to it all day long.
Like I said, it's the new Friday from Rebecca Black.
So, do you think the song has a chance of going viral and on to number 1 in the charts?
Never.
Why? Rebecca Black went to number 1, and those remix versions. So why wouldn't she?
You know what, Rebecca Black? I could tolerate her enough to watch it. This lady, I cannot tolerate her enough.
But have you watched the video?
I didn't because I couldn't tolerate her enough. That's the thing.
But have you heard the full track though? That's the question.
That's the thing. I couldn't tolerate her enough to listen to the full track.
No, but listening to clips of a song compared to the full track is completely different. You get the full context of what the song is about.
I know, but the thing is, when a song starts, it needs to be tolerable enough for you to continue. And maybe it's because with Rebecca Black, it came out, 10 years ago?
No, I think it's a bit longer than that.
You know what? We need to Google it.
Right, okay. Whilst you Google it, let me just say, I think the reason I do like this Lovebomber song is because it's got a nice catchy tune to it, and it is a dance sort of theme. Dance, a trance sort of, not trance song, but more of a dance song, and it's very poppy. And I just love the way she says, "Why are you ghosting me? Are you crushing my heart?"
You know what?
And her dance moves, okay, at parts, I will say that they are questionable, but you have to give respect to the lady for putting herself out there. And it reminds me of another video of this young lad, again, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, called Danny Boy. And he sang about a song where his friends were no longer his friends. And he goes, I can't remember how it went.
Danny Boy, okay.
Check out his track. It's called Danny Boy, and he went famous for how terrible his song was.
Okay. Well, we'll give it back to our listeners. Okay, listeners, please go check out Danny Boy and figure out what the song was about 10, 15 years ago, and please put that in the comment section. So going back to Rebecca Black. So Rebecca Black, she released her song Friday in 2011, so exactly 13 years ago.
Wow.
I know.
Time flies.
Time flies, and also our attention span. I think now with the whole, flicking through TikTok, Instagram, we're in that generation where we don't have the patience for anything.
I understand what you're saying, but I suppose TikTok wasn't around back then, was it? When did TikTok come about?
TikTok's like very recent, like
2011 is when I think, well, now it's called X, but Twitter I think came around at that time, was it not? I know Facebook launched in 2003, 2004. I think Twitter obviously came after that. But TikTok is a more recent thing.
2016.
Oh, 16, so not long ago then. So
Yeah.
you're looking at 8 years.
Yeah, so, and I think since TikTok, our attention span has like completely gone off. We don't have, it's all about instant gratification since TikTok. So I don't think we have that attention span to listen to a song like
Well, I've
Lovebomber.
listened to it and I've been having it on
But-
repeat. You know,
but
it's an
honey,
amazing song.
You love trash like that. That's your that's your ultimate
listen.
thing.
I'm gonna put you straight here. I have what you call is multi-genre syndrome, right? I'm not just shoved into a box where I just listen to one type of genre only. So on my playlist, right, you will find your Korean pop songs.
We do
You will
love a little
find
bit
your
of K-pop.
gangster Dr. Dre songs.
Of course we
You
do.
will find your Rebecca Black on there. Yeah?
And a bit of Taylor Swift on the
Of
side.
course, you gotta love Tay Tay, right? I'm not gonna have
Tay-Tay's.
anyone dissing Tay Tay. And shout out to Tay Tay for being in the UK in August. I was hoping to come down, but tickets are ridiculously high.
It's just extortionate. That's the thing. She's extorting.
No,
little
she
girls.
isn't. I'm going to tell you that she is not extortionate prices. It's the ticket providers. Let's not mention any names in case we're liable. But the ticket providers who host the tickets or sell the tickets on her behalf are the ones, even you include fees and all that sort of thing. But going back to my question, Lovebomber, come on.
No, it's an A from me.
Nay for you? Are you sure about that?
100%. Give it to our listeners. Come on, listeners. You have to tell us in our comment section, is Lovebomber going to be a hit just like Friday, or is it just going to fizzle out? Let them decide.
Let them decide. Fair enough. Guys, it's over to you. Right, so moving on to our next topic, it's a bit more serious. It happened 2 days ago. We've all seen what's been going on. The video's been circulating on WhatsApp. Greater Manchester Police has released a statement on this issue and the matter. Even the Prime Minister has got involved. And the reason I raise this issue is because it's affecting our community, not just the Muslims, but the Asian community, ethnic community. And I think it talks about a deeper issue around relations with the police force. So, in case listeners don't know what's going on in the last couple of days, a family came out. There's issues, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps we don't know the full thing, so we don't want to accuse the police force or accuse the family of doing something they shouldn't have been doing. But in the sort of clip that we see taken by members of the public, I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes.
In the shot, a guy was on the floor, handcuffed, and a police officer sadly decided to kick him in the face while he was lying down. So, regardless of whether the young lad was aggressive or not, I think we can all agree we do not agree with members of the public abusing and throwing punches at police or um, statutory bodies. But my question to you is, was the police officer in question excessive in his approach?
I think definitely 100%. If anyone's watched the video, it's a very brutal video. It's something that you can't watch. It's very hard to watch. It needs trigger warning before the video is shown. It's just terrible, and the way he is aggressively, the way he hit him aggressively with it, kicked him.
Sure.
It I think it's more than that. It's what I think the police need to do is check the mental health of the police officers, because I think it's a little bit more than was it racially motivated, was it not. One thing we do need to delve into deeper is the fact that the people who we are giving authority to, are they mentally in the right space to do their job, keep us safeguarded? Because that level of outrage is not normal. What is your thoughts on it?
I mean, I agree with parts of your statement. I think, we need to be able to feel safe as a community. We have a lot of trust with the police force, and it obviously came out earlier today. The solicitor that represents the family, he did say that his brother is a serving officer, who's taking time off from work now because he feels unsafe because of what transpired. And apparently, the young lad in question who had his head kicked in. Again, viewers' discretion is advised if you decide to watch the clip. And yes, it is a very sensitive topic, but I felt it was very important for us to discuss this, given how viral it's gone and how it affects our community as Muslims, as ethnics, as whatever label you want to put on it. These are the daily issues that our community faces, and most of the time it's not caught on camera. Thankfully, this was by multiple people, and again, I understand. Majority of the police force perhaps are decent folks who are trying to protect people, keep people safe, but there are a few bad apples, unfortunately, and I think it goes much deeper. There's institutional racism within the police force that we must address. We've seen it in the famous case back in the 90s of Stephen Lawrence, and again and again and again, high profile cases, come up, such as, for example, in America, that gentleman who was pressed on the ground, forgotten his name, and the whole Black Lives Matter movement transpired from that. Was it called George Floyd or
No, George Floyd is a boxer.
no? What was he called? And I forgot the name of the gentleman anyway. But because he was held on the floor for 9 minutes, um, and he couldn't breathe, and he actually said, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and he eventually died. Thankfully, in this instant, the young lad, he was able to survive. But again, I think excessive force like that is uncalled for, and I think the police force needs to, and I suppose it wasn't the police force. I think it was the airport security force. I think there's a differentiation, but whatever
But
category they fall under, excessive force like that should not be. Because the lad was tasered. He was tasered and he was all collapsed on the floor. So what more could he have done? Not,
yeah,
there was no need for it to be smashed into the head. And on top of that, we saw the other lad who was on the seat, sorry, and he had his hands held behind his head. And again, he got kicked on the knees, I think it was, and forced onto the floor.
yeah,
So, what's your take?
exactly. The thing is, in terms of these kind of things, because these people who are given the authority, there needs to be some sort of they need to have a good moral compass, and I think those things are not taken into account. Someone who is not racially biased, who doesn't have any strong racist
But do we
inclinations,
not all have
or
biases towards people? Isn't that innate within us?
I feel as though, yeah, we do. But however, there are certain people who are outright right, and they're different from the normal. We all have biases, we all have stereotypes. We do it, we have unconscious, Prince Harry's favorite word, unconscious bias. Everyone has it.
Let's not talk about the royals right now.
Let's not go there. That's another topic for another day. But we all have unconscious biases, but there are some certain people who have aggression. That's the difference between being a bias, someone who's um, biased and someone who's a racist. Because
Okay.
racism comes with aggression. Those need to be taken into account. And also, if we are giving someone power, authority over others, there needs to be some sort of psych evaluation to say, you know what, they are fit for that. And I don't think it gets done properly.
I mean, I personally don't know the process of being a police officer. I don't have any sort of like experience of that, or know people who have experience of that. I know police officers, Muslim police officers in particular, but in terms of how they've gone about doing the interview process, the physical, and I don't know if there's a psych evaluation that goes on.
I'm sure they
You
should.
might know more about that than I do, but me personally, I don't know in terms of how the police force runs and how they operate. But obviously, in again, just going back to the police force, they are there um, as an organization to protect members of the public.
Yeah, exactly.
So my question is, when you see instances like this where a young lad, or you say, for example, he was in the wrong and he was lashing out and physically assaulting other officers, of course that's condemned, of course that's wrong, but we've got to understand the context. And I feel that without the context, we shouldn't be rushing to judgment, because as members of the public, we don't know what's gone on prior to what that video clip showed us.
I agree. I agree. We don't know the context of it. But however, regardless of the context, regardless of how it got to that stage, the fact that it got to that stage with where he's subdued and he is kicking someone's head in, someone who's already on the ground, that is aggression.
For sure,
to
for
another
sure.
level. And that part in itself
Yeah,
is wrong.
of course, Nishad, I in no way disagree with you there. And I think that was excessive use of force, but I'm talking
That's
about
an
in terms of,
excessive use of power.
of course, and this is what my point is. Maybe I'm saying in a roundabout way is, as members of the public, of we have the right to be outraged, and of course we want answers. But should we not let the police and the, I think it's called the IOPC or something, fulfill their investigation and come out with the result?
So I have an issue.
Should we not have patience in making sure that the judicial system is the right system and we will get justice by being patient?
I don't think the judicial system is
sorry.
It's a word I cannot say, okay?
I know it's been a long day. In case viewers are wondering why I'm taking the mic, it's because we're recording this late at night and it's been a long day. So, perhaps some of our words might be slurred. Don't mind us.
That's a word I cannot say. That's the thing.
Judicial.
I can't say it.
Say
it. Judicial. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There are certain, I get
the justice system.
The justice system. I will say the justice system because there are certain words I cannot say.
Rehearse them.
I can't. They're physically. I cannot physically get them out of my mouth.
That's fine.
Tongue-tie.
We're not here to judge.
Yes.
But yeah, so it is the judicial system. But I'm not going to brag about the fact that I can do it. But let's crack on anyway.
Okay. No. So I don't have faith in the system because we like you said, there's systematic racism within the system. It's an institutional racism. Okay. We have institutional racism when it comes to our schools, our justice system, the corporate world, everywhere. Mm-hmm. One thing you learn as a brown person, as a minority in any of those places, is the fact that when the perpetrator is white, they are given the grace that is not given to the ethnic minority.
Even though you're born and brought up here.
Even though you're born and brought up here, even though you have no, like, there are certain people who have no idea where their family came from. They don't even know the language, but you can tell just by looking at them, mate, you ain't white.
So this is going off topic a little, and I was going to try and raise this as a separate topic, but since we touched upon it, I think I'll bring it into this conversation here then, and we'll go back to, obviously, this question in hand. So, when, for example, it really irritates me when people say back home, because I understand the concept of what they're trying to say, but I do not agree with the statement. For me, home is here in the UK. I was born here, brought up here, educated here, have a job here. My life is here. My family is here. Everything I know is here. Yes, I go abroad to visit relatives and family, but that is not my home.
And that does not even feel like your home.
And that is not a home. And no, I'm sure other people feel the same way. It is not a holiday either.
It's not a holiday.
It's not a holiday.
It's
not a home. It's just an obligation I feel that I have to fulfill to keep relations with my relatives and my family members, extended family members that I have to keep, as Allah has told us. But that's as far as it goes. And inshallah, one day I hope that I'll get to tour the country and visit it as a tourist. But normally when I go there, it's just I'm stuck in the village and I'm fulfilling my obligations of what I have to do and getting to reconnect with my cousins, which has been brilliant and fantastic. But how do you feel about that? I mean, the terminology going back home or
we don't have a home there.
I do not agree with. Do you agree with that comment? And if you do, we can no longer be friends.
No, I don't agree with that comment at all because it's not home. Because I go there to visit my grandparents. It's my grandparents' home.
Yeah.
It's not even mine. I have no claim over it.
Sure.
It's my cousin's home. I have no claim over that home. I visit my relatives.
Yeah.
In their home. So if I go to a different town, let's say we go to Shropshire, okay?
Never been.
Never been.
Isn't that where that guy got assassinated or poisoned or something?
I have no idea. really random place to get assassinated by the Russians.
No. Yeah, it's the Russians, I think, and they're like, oh yeah, we just come for a visit. Anyway,
maybe that's where it came from. But say my cousins live in Shropshire, and I go to visit them. I am not going to say, oh, let me go back home.
Yeah.
No, I'm just visiting a relative in Shropshire. Shropshire is never my home. It will never feel like home. Even when I visit them, even if I visit them for a month, I'm not going to be at home there. So this is my home.
Right, guys. So you heard it from here, and rather you heard it from us. Going back home or back home is not a term we should be using. Let's abolish that term.
Yeah, let's say visiting relatives. Going to my relative's home, okay?
Right. I'm just conscious of time, so let's jump to the last topic of today's podcast. It might be a controversial topic.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for this.
Are you? Okay. And you might be thinking, what on earth is she on about? But I think it is a topic that we need to discuss. And especially in the shorter days when winter is like 6 hours of daylight, and then you have 12 hours or 26 hours of nighttime. What is your thoughts on holding on to your Wudhu throughout the day?
I think it's the perfect thing in the world. It's the best feeling. One Wudhu, 5 salahs done.
But okay, so I suppose I should rephrase it, is what are your thoughts on holding on to your fart whilst trying to keep your Wudhu?
You know what? The thing is, I always say about when I go in the morning, I pray my fard, and then sometimes I think, no, I need a little bit more time so that I can do my wudu again. That way, because if you think about it, from 7 o'clock till 12 o'clock, it's a pretty long time, isn't it?
What, so you're thinking about what, 3-4 hours? How many hours is it?
No,
1, 2, 3.
5 hours.
5 hours, right?
That's
okay,
5 hours.
Yeah.
From 7 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
But does it not depend on the season and the year and the time and all that?
Yeah.
All them issues.
Yeah. So the thing is, let's just say we'll leave the house as you're getting ready to go for work. You get ready around about 7 o'clock. You leave round about 8.
I talk about this time of year in the summer, or you talk about later on in the year?
In winter.
In winter, right? Okay.
In winter, because that's when you can keep your wudu.
When clocks go back,
that's when you can keep your wudu. So
but
the fartception does not come
right? At our age, are we still able to do that?
I am.
Mashallah.
I am.
I can't.
Can't you?
I can't. Because when you gotta go, you gotta go.
I know.
And then you get IBS and all them other issues, and
yeah. And
no one needs a
UTI, innit? No one needs a UTI.
So anyway, carry on. Yeah, so you're doing your wudu for Fajr, and then you've gone out, got ready for work. It's 9 o'clock now.
And then you go in and you wait because you don't want to drink enough water. Because you think, you know what? By 12:15, I should be okay to pray. And then so 12:15 comes in, you quickly pray, and then if you have like a lot of water during lunch, you'll have to go. Or depending on what you eat, you may have to fart. If you have some beans, jack a potato and beans, what are you gonna do? You know it's coming.
Okay. I mean, we're taking it quite light-hearted, but again, on a more serious point, though, if you are holding on to your wind and XYZ, right? And say,
is your wudu still valid? That's the big question.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's other issues around that. So we know, for example, when we do our salah and everything, we're supposed to have khushu, we're supposed to be focused. So if we're thinking, oh my God, let me just rush through this so I can go far in the bathroom, is that really the purpose of let's just get it over done with?
No, it's not.
So I've got you thinking then, haven't I?
I have. You have.
So do you now feel guilty for holding on to your...
I do, because, but then I feel as though at least I did my salah and I did not miss it. But then again, when you are in remembrance of Allah, when you are doing your salah, you know that moment that you have with Allah, you need to enjoy that moment.
But can you do that though whilst you're thinking, I need...
No, you can't. 100% you can't.
And then also on top of that, if you are rushing through it, your faraid, the third part of your namaz, then are you not also missing out your sunnah and nafil if you do pray them normally?
I don't think anyone's praying their sunnah or their nafil. If you just want to get through it, no, you definitely are not. Because I do remember, like most of the time during, I act like as if that was ages ago, but no, is every time I go to work, I do try. So even in the summer months, like if I'm going, to work into the office, I do my wudu in the morning, and I
Yeah.
try to keep it till 1:30. What 1:30? You need to keep it till 1:30 because you want to pray your salah. So
Sure.
it is that moment where you need to keep it for at least 6 hours. Your
Well,
wudu.
is that perhaps then, Nishad, the fact that maybe you don't have access to wudu facilities? I mean, that could be.
That's the bigger
I mean,
problem.
do you, in your workplace, for example, are you comfortable? I suppose there's two questions here. One is accessibility of a wudu area, and second is how comfortable are you in your workplace to do wudu in that?
So I put my foot in the sink all the time. That's what.
Not foot in the mouth, foot in the sink.
Foot
Yeah?
in the sink.
Right. Okay.
I put.
Mashallah.
So I am when I
Have you
start.
been caught?
Oh, so many times. And
And I mean, what kind of comments have been, or do people just ignore you, or just think,
people look at me.
or do you justify, or do you explain afterwards?
No. When people look at me, and it's like, I just always look at them and say, I'm not having a bath. This is called wudu. This is what I do to pray.
Sure.
So I always explain, because it's not the fact that I'm justifying my actions. No, I'm trying to educate them,
Yeah.
so that when they see another person, they understand, or when they see me. So I remember in one of my first jobs, when one of my very first jobs, I was in that company for 4 years. Honestly, by the end of the first year, most people would look at me and say, "Oh, not Nishat's doing her wudu again." And if someone else came in and they didn't know what I was doing, the other people acted like, "Oh my god, you're so uncultured. You don't know this is wudu." So people got used to it. But I think more than the wudu problem is the fact that you need a lota. That's the problem.
Oh my God. Listen, that's another topic for another day.
That's the biggest
We're
problem.
short on time, so I don't think we can touch upon the lota issue.
Lota is for next thing.
Yeah. So I'll carry on in terms of your workplace.
Yeah. So in terms of your workplace, and I think in terms of your practices, you never should justify your practices.
Yeah.
When you're practicing Islam, anything shouldn't be justified. But however, I feel as though you should be comfortable enough to explain why it is and educate the people around you, because when you educate the people around you, not only they become more tolerant, but once they understand your reasoning behind it, they become more accepting. And I've seen a lot of admiration for the things that I do, even though people, from atheists, from atheists, people who do not believe in God, I've seen admiration, because what I do, it does make me stand out.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that I don't care about standing out.
I think,
and I'm okay with that being different.
I'm glad you mentioned that in terms of the admiration point from the non-Muslims, and perhaps even Muslims who don't practice. I was thinking about this last night, and I was reminded of I think it was Abu Sufyan rahimahullah, who was a Sahaba during the time of our Prophet Islam, and I can't remember the exact hadith, but basically I think he said, "I love Islam." Everything's explained. Everything's explained. And someone questioned, "What, even going to the toilet?" He goes, "Yes, of course, even going to the toilet." Subhanallah, look at how beautiful our deen is, right? Our religion, even our Prophet, he taught us how to go to the bathroom correctly.
Yes.
How to clean ourselves properly. Yeah. So if you don't have water, what do you do? If you don't have tissues, what do you do? So many different scenarios we face, right, as an everyday Muslim, and every single situation, scenario that we face, we have an answer for.
Alhamdulillah.
So that just blows my mind, honestly. That is just incredible. And the fact that he was so proud, and I think, touching upon what you said again, is we should be I can't say the word.
Unapologetic.
So just as you can't say judicial, I can't say this word.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic, there you go, I've said it now. Unapologetically Muslim. And I think that will give others more chance to respect us, because we're not apologizing for who we are and what we do.
Yeah. I think a topic for another podcast, I think it should be hijab. Hijab, wearing the hijab. I really want to talk about it.
No, you're going to open a can of worms.
Not today, but on another mundane topic. But
do you find the hijab topic as a mundane issue, though? Perhaps it doesn't meet our threshold of mundane issues.
You know what? We can make it mundane. We can talk about the color of the hijab rather than anything else. But hijab in itself is something I would love to talk about, because even explaining the hijab to a
Sure, sure.
non-Muslim, I definitely think that is a good episode. So guys, please watch out for that episode.
Inshallah. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. And yeah, I think it's been interesting. Half an hour has flown by.
I know.
And I think, yes, it's a good pilot episode that we've done today. And inshallah, guys, put in the comments what topics you'd like for us to discuss. If you'd like to see more of me, more of Nishat, more of any other people as guest speakers,
Elon
just a,
Musk.
that might be a bit of our reach. We might have to launch one of his rockets to get him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you very much for listening to us. And again, anything good comes from Allah, anything comes from ourselves and Shaitan, and anything we've said legally incorrect, don't hold us to account. It's our own.
We're just normal people,
It's
mate.
just a disclaimer, guys. Obviously, legally, we're not bound by anything.
Yeah.
It's all our personal opinions. And there might have been some hadith and Quran that we mentioned. Again, we are not scholars. We're just trying
Normal
to have a
people.
discussion about what everyday Muslims go through. So, Nishat, is there anything you'd like to finish off on?
Guys, like, comment, and subscribe, please, and share. Thank you.
And that concludes today's podcast. Keep an eye out for the next one.
Adios.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for listening to Mundane Mysteries of a Muslim. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.